Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're plunging headfirst into a phenomenon that has gripped millions globally: the compelling, often bewildering world of 90 Day Fiancé.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about explosive drama, cross-cultural romance, and that relentless, nail-biting, ticking clock that makes for truly addictive viewing.
It really is. It's a show that, promises to pull back the curtain on international relationships and the unique challenges they face. But it also, maybe inadvertently, shines a spotlight on the incredibly complex and often misunderstood U.S. K-1 fiancé visa process. What the cameras show you is often just like the tip of a much larger and more nuanced iceberg.
Exactly. Our mission today is to go beyond the manufactured drama and entertainment value of 90 Day Fiancé. We're going to meticulously peel back those layers to reveal the actual complexities of immigration, the real legal hurdles, and the very human stories behind the headlines and the sound bites.
Yeah, get into what's really happening.
We want to extract surprising facts and crucial insights, helping you, our listener, truly understand what's really going on behind those cameras, the seemingly endless stacks of legal paperwork, and the often misrepresented cultural dynamics.
And to really set the stage for this deep dive, I think it's essential we understand the core legal framework, the thing that underpins the entire premise of the show.
The K-1 visa itself.
Right. The K-1 visa, widely known as the fiancé visa, it's a non-immigrant visa specifically designed for a foreign national who is engaged to a United States citizen. Its purpose is pretty singular. Allow that foreign fiancé to enter the U.S. for the explicit intention of getting married.
And here's the crucial element that gives the show its name and fuels all its inherent tension.
The clock.
That clock. Once that foreign fiancé steps onto U.S. soil, it starts ticking immediately. They are legally required to marry their American partner within a strict 90-day period.
No wiggle room there.
None. If that marriage doesn't happen within those 3 months, the foreign national has no legal basis to remain in the U.S. and must depart the country.
And failing to do so means they risk deportation, which, can have severe, long-lasting consequences for any future attempts to enter or reside in the United States.
Absolutely. This tight, non-negotiable deadline is the central dramatic engine around which the entire 90 Day Fiancé universe revolves.
That's the pressure cooker.
Okay, let's truly unpack this, because while 90 Day Fiancé undeniably offers a fascinating, sometimes absolutely jaw-dropping look into these unique cross-cultural relationships, it is absolutely, unequivocally, a highly produced and meticulously edited piece of entertainment.
100%.
It should never, ever be mistaken for an unvarnished slice of real life or, heaven forbid, a documentary, despite how compelling it can sometimes feel to us, the viewers.
Yeah, it is such a crucial distinction. And it's one that, frankly, the show's producers would probably even admit to.
Sure.
The reality is the show is heavily edited, often with a specific narrative in mind. To construct a storyline that maximizes entertainment and drama for a mass audience.
Right. Build the story they want to tell.
Yes, exactly. This approach frequently means that crucial details, important context, nuanced explanations, the very things that would provide genuine insight into why a couple acts a certain way or makes certain decisions, are ruthlessly cut, left on the editing room floor.
Yeah. What you see is a very carefully curated version of events.
Definitely.
And it's not just about what they leave out, is it? We've heard directly from former cast members that parts of the show are, shall we say, significantly influenced or even outright scripted.
Oh, for sure. People have spoken out.
Take Chris Thieneman, for example, from season 5. He openly admitted that yes, absolutely, parts of it are scripted. He clarified, like, some of it is rooted in reality, but then it's teased with and added to, subtracted from.
It's manipulated.
He said it's a mix, which truly makes you wonder, as a viewer, just how much of what you're seeing is truly authentic and how much is a meticulously crafted performance.
And the evidence for this staging isn't just anecdotal from, maybe disgruntled former cast members.
Yeah.
There are concrete examples that have come out.
Like what?
Well, the infamous Thai massage scene with Chris Thieneman and Annie. His wife, Nikki Cooper, later confirmed on YouTube that producers specifically suggested that scene.
Suggested it. Wow.
Not only suggested, but allegedly made them refilm it multiple times to get the right level of, awkwardness and dramatic effect.
Okay, that's staging, reenacting a supposedly spontaneous moment until it fits the narrative.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And another widely reported instance involved a couple shown having this huge public fight in a restaurant. Looked totally real. But later, it emerged. The entire argument was orchestrated. staged specifically for the cameras, purely to generate dramatic footage.
It truly is all about hooking you, the viewer, isn't it? Keeping you glued to the screen for next week's episode.
Absolutely. Production tactics are designed for that suspense.
Manufacturing cliffhangers, false suspense at the end of episodes, even if it means significantly distorting the actual reality of the couple's experiences.
Yeah, that will they or won't they get married, tension, or the constant questioning of motives. Is he just here for the green card?
Yeah.
That's often engineered. It's engineered to maximize viewership rather than reflecting what's actually organically happening.
It's a testament to good reality TV production, maybe, but definitely not accurate journalism.
Not even close.
Yeah.
But, it's important to understand that, generally speaking, the couples are aware they're participating in a produced television show.
They know it's not a fly-on-the-wall documentary.
Right. They understand there are cameras, producers, editors, and that their stories will be shaped. They've signed contracts.
Right, but what's truly fascinating, and you have to think adds its own unique layer of strain, is the compensation, or lack thereof, for one partner.
Yes. The money aspect.
Participants on the show reportedly receive approximately $1,000 per episode, plus an additional $2,500 for each tell-all special they do.
Which might sound okay for just living your life on camera.
But here's the massive catch. Only the American member of each couple is actually paid.
That's right. And this is reportedly because of legal rules. It's generally illegal to pay someone who doesn't hold a green card or a valid U.S. work authorization.
Think about the strain that must create.
Oh, absolutely. A profound strain. Imagine. One partner is new to the country, maybe doesn't speak the language perfectly, totally isolated from their family and friends, can't legally work.
And on top of all that, they're financially reliant on the other partner for literally everything.
While that American partner is earning money from their shared, very public, very stressful experience.
That inherent financial power dynamic where one person is essentially dependent, it's huge, can amplify vulnerabilities and create massive tension that the show often just glosses over, right?
Completely. It's a massive elephant in the room that rarely gets addressed head-on in the show's narrative.
And on the flip side of viewer skepticism, people often wonder, does TLC actively bring these couples together? Like, do they cast for maximum drama?
That's a common assumption, but according to executive producer Gabriella Tavicoli, that's just not how it works.
So they don't play matchmaker?
Apparently not. She says hundreds, maybe thousands of submissions pour in organically. People see the ads at the end of episodes inviting couples to apply.
Okay.
And sometimes producers also reach out to immigration lawyers they know, asking about potential couples who are already going through the K-1 process.
Ah, so the couples already exist.
Exactly. The couple generally existed before their 90-day fiancé status ever did. They found each other organically, often online or through travel, and were already committed to the K-1 visa before TLC got involved. The show finds the stories. It doesn't create the couples from scratch.
That's interesting. It kind of changes the perception a bit.
It does. And speaking of perceptions changing, this leads us to a surprising and frankly kind of ironic historical note about the network itself. TLC.
Right, TLC. We know it for reality shows now, but...
It actually stands for the Learning Channel.
Get out. Really?
Seriously. It was co-founded by NASA, of all organizations, back in the 1970s. Yep. It was originally conceived as a platform for programming that was genuinely educational, aimed to teach audiences about science, history, practical skills, actual learning.
Wow. That's quite a pivot to where they are now.
Isn't it? The shift from that educational mission to the kind of docuseries and reality TV like 90 Day Fiancé really took hold in the early 2000s. And, well, the network hasn't looked back since.
It's a fascinating evolution, maybe says something about what audiences want now, or how TV has changed entertainment over education.
Perhaps. Or just that human drama is endlessly fascinating. It's definitely a reflection of the changing media landscape.
Okay, so we've covered how the show's made, the editing, the staging, the Learning Channel origins. Now let's really dive into the actual K-1 visa process itself.
Yes, let's separate the TV version from the bureaucratic reality.
Because while the show makes you think these couples are desperately scrambling to plan a wedding in a frantic 90-day dash.
Right, like they just met at the airport and now have to pick out flowers and a venue in 3 months.
Exactly. The true timeline and the actual sequence of events are significantly different.
Massively different.
Yeah.
The show dramatically compresses the real-life timeline for maximum emotional impact. In reality, the K-1 visa process, getting it approved before the fiancé even travels.
How long does that take?
Currently, it typically takes somewhere around 13 to 18 months. sometimes even longer depending on the country, the specific case, processing backlogs.
Wait, 13 to 18 months.
Months, yes. So couples usually have well over a year to plan their wedding, make arrangements, discuss their future, figure things out before the foreign fiancé even sets foot in the U.S.
So that whole, oh my God, 90 days to plan a wedding is mostly manufactured drama.
Largely, yes.
Yeah.
The 90-day period is strict, absolutely. But it only begins after they arrive on U.S. soil with the approved K-1 visa. That's when the clock starts for the marriage itself.
And if they don't marry within those 90 days?
Then the foreign national must leave the United States, period. Or they risk deportation, which, as we said, seriously jeopardizes any future immigration attempts.
Okay. That 90-day rule is real and serious, but it comes after a very long planning period.
Precisely. And this is where it gets truly enlightening, because another common misconception may be subtly reinforced by the show.
Is that marriage equals citizenship?
Exactly. That once they say, "I do," within the 90 days, the foreign partner is automatically a U.S. citizen. That is absolutely not the case.
Far from it. Right.
So far from it. Marriage on a K-1 visa doesn't automatically grant citizenship. It's just the very first required step on a much longer, often really arduous, and incredibly paperwork-heavy path.
Okay, so what are the steps after the wedding?
After the marriage, which has to happen within that 90-day window, the foreign spouse then has to apply for a green card. This is the document that officially recognizes them as a lawful permanent resident, or LPR.
Okay, so wedding, then green card application.
Right. And that whole post-marriage application process where they're basically switching from their temporary fiancé visa status to a permanent resident status. It's formally known as adjustment of status.
Adjustment of status. Got it. Sounds bureaucratic.
Oh, it is. Think of it like this. You arrived on your K-1, you got married. Now you have to adjust your temporary status to a long-term resident status. It's a whole new application. More fees, more paperwork, often another interview.
And you have to prove the marriage is real again.
Yes. You have to prove to U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, that the marriage is legitimate and not just for immigration benefits.
And it doesn't stop there, right? Getting the green card isn't the end goal either for citizenship.
Not at all. This is a multi-stage process, a lot of waiting.
Yeah.
Only 3 full years after successfully receiving that initial green card can the resident even become eligible to apply for U.S. citizenship through naturalization.
3 years after getting the green card.
3 years of continuous residence as a lawful permanent resident married to a U.S. citizen. So the whole journey from the initial K-1 application to potentially becoming a citizen, it can easily take 5 to 7 years, maybe longer. It's a marathon, definitely not a sprint.
Wow, that's a much longer and more complex picture than marry in 90 days.
Absolutely. And something 90-Day Fiancé definitely doesn't show you, and probably can't because of privacy and legal restrictions, is all the meticulous, often frustrating work that goes on behind the scenes.
With lawyers.
Exactly. With immigration attorneys and legal professionals.
Yeah.
The cameras aren't allowed in sensitive meetings with immigration officials or to film the detailed prep for applications and interviews. So you miss the crucial legal and bureaucratic hurdles every single couple must navigate.
Right. An experienced immigration attorney is probably essential for many people.
Hugely helpful. They help determine eligibility, gather all the insane amounts of required documents, prepare couples for those tough interviews, and guide them through these incredibly complex, daunting legal steps. Without that expertise, the process can be overwhelming and full of potential pitfalls. Easy to make a mistake.
Okay. Another critical part of the process, mostly unseen on TV but super important, the visa interview itself.
The genuineness test, right? Yes. The consular interview, usually conducted at a U.S. embassy or consulate in the foreign fiancé's home country. And it's crucial to understand the K-1 visa process is not an exact science. There's a big subjective element.
How so?
Decisions by consular officers are highly discretionary. They're based heavily on the applicant's answers, their body language, their perceived attitude, and of course, a thorough background check.
So it's not just checking boxes on a form.
Not at all. Immigration officials are deeply, deeply concerned about marriage fraud. That's their main focus here.
Understandable.
Their primary goal during these interviews is to satisfy themselves that a real, bona fide relationship exists. That the foreign national isn't just using the marriage as a convenient way to get into the U.S.
So they're looking for red flags.
Actively looking for inconsistencies, discrepancies in stories, anything that might indicate a fraudulent K-visa application. And this leads to some incredibly intrusive, often really uncomfortably personal questions during that interview.
When you say intrusive, how personal are we talking? Like, what's their favorite movie?
Oh, way beyond favorite movies. Imagine being asked to recount like the exact details of your first date or how you proposed or your partner's parents' names and birthdays, details about their siblings, their job history, education.
Wow.
They might ask about specific shared experiences, trips you took, gifts you exchanged, even intimate details about the relationship or future plans, wedding details, honeymoon plans, all while a government official is scrutinizing your every word, every hesitation, looking for any mismatch with what your American partner might have said, or any sign you don't really know this person.
That sounds incredibly stressful, like an interrogation.
It can feel like that. It's designed to determine if they're here for the right reasons and genuinely love this person. But the depth of inquiry can be profoundly uncomfortable.
And this brings us right to that central question the show loves to hammer home. The love versus green card dilemma.
The phony moral question, as you called it earlier.
Yeah, it sets up this false dichotomy, implying one motivation has to be the sole reason. Are they here for love, or are they here for the green card?
As if it can't possibly be both or involve other complex factors.
Exactly. But in reality, for most couples, both motivations, love, and the desire for a different life, which includes immigration benefits, are almost always in play. And honestly, are marriages ever based purely on just one thing, like romantic love?
That's such a great point. Real relationships are built on shared values, compatibility, yes, attraction, but also practical things.
Yeah.
Financial stability, lifestyle expectations, family considerations, future goals. They all intertwine.
The problem for immigration officials is that proving something as intangible as love is incredibly subjective, right?
It's super subjective.
Mhm.
And it's an area that, frankly, can be easily milked or manipulated if someone understands the system and knows what answers are expected.
Which allows the show to capitalize on that gray area for drama.
Exactly. Instead of focusing on maybe more objective criteria, some legal scholars argue the government should perhaps focus more on things like, can the American partner actually support the immigrant financially? Does the immigrant have skills or education to contribute? Rather than spending so much time trying to quantify love through these really personal questions.
It definitely raises big questions about the role of the state in people's private lives.
Absolutely. Where does that line get drawn?
Okay, so we've dissected the show's production and the K-1 visa's technicalities. Now let's pivot to where 90 Day Fiancé's drama reflects and often wildly distorts some very real issues. First up, money.
Finances. Always a source of drama on the show.
While financial struggles are undeniably real for many couples, especially navigating immigration costs, the show absolutely seems to exaggerate them for dramatic effect.
Oh yeah, you constantly see storylines about taking out huge loans for a wedding dress or struggling with visa fees that seem astronomical on screen.
While those costs are real burdens, the show amplifies them into near catastrophes.
Right. But what's often overlooked or not fully explained is the very real, very significant financial burden and legal responsibility the American citizen takes on as the sponsor.
The affidavit of support.
Exactly. The American has to meet minimum income requirements, proving to the government they can financially support the immigrant partner so they don't become a public charge.
And it's not just a suggestion, it's legally binding.
Totally binding. If the American citizen can't meet the income level alone, they need a co-sponsor, often family or friend, who also signs that binding affidavit.
And that commitment lasts for how long?
This is the kicker.
Eh.
The sponsor, and co-sponsor if there is one, signs a contract agreeing to provide financial support for potentially 10 years or until the immigrant becomes a citizen, works 40 quarters, leaves the U.S. permanently, or dies.
10 years. Even if they divorce.
Even if they divorce. If the immigrant partner draws from certain means-tested public benefits, think welfare, Medicaid, SNAP during that time, the government can legally come after the sponsor or co-sponsor to repay those costs.
Wow. That's a massive commitment. Imagine the pressure that puts on a new marriage.
It's enormous. A huge financial weight the show rarely explores with that kind of clarity. They prefer the drama of a $5,000 wedding budget fight.
Right. Another big appeal of the show, cultural differences, watching couples navigate those.
Definitely one of its biggest hooks. The fish out of water stuff, the clashing expectations.
But again, the show very frequently tends to exaggerate and amplify these differences just for drama, right? Often presenting them in a really stereotypical or one-dimensional way.
Absolutely. You see these portrayals of vastly different ideas about family roles, gender norms, communication styles, even hygiene sometimes.
Yeah. And while those differences can be present in any cross-cultural relationship and need navigating,
The show frames them as these almost insurmountable obstacles that must lead to huge fights or tearful breakdowns to be resolved.
when in reality these differences are usually way more nuanced and complex.
And crucially, they can be navigated successfully with open communication, mutual respect, a real willingness to learn from each other, maybe a sense of humor.
But the show's exaggerated portrayal, it can end up perpetuating harmful stereotypes about other cultures, can't it? Reducing them to caricatures for a quick, dramatic moment.
Sadly, yes. It simplifies complex human experiences for entertainment value instead of exploring the richness of cultural adaptation.
And this brings us to something really significant and frankly quite troubling, that the show sometimes highlights, maybe without meaning to, the inherent power imbalance.
Yes, this is a critical point. The power imbalance between the American partner and the immigrant partner in a K-1 scenario,
Because the immigrant's legal presence in the U.S. is conditional. It's entirely subject to following the rules and, importantly, to the American partner continuing the process.
which creates a situation ripe for potential abuse. That power imbalance is stark.
Have there been real examples of this threat being used?
Absolutely. We've seen troubling instances on the show itself and heard stories off camera where the American partner explicitly used the threat of deportation. I'll withdraw the petition. I won't file for your green card as a tool to coerce or control the immigrant partner.
Like the Danielle and Mohammed situation.
That's a well-known example from the show, yes. While their situation had other complexities, the threat itself is an implicit, looming presence for many immigrant spouses. Imagine being told in a new country, isolated, dependent, that your entire future here rests solely on the goodwill of this one person. It's terrifying.
And immigrant spouses, especially early on, are incredibly vulnerable, aren't they?
Extremely vulnerable, separated from family, community, friends back home, and critically, often unable to legally work for months, sometimes longer, after arriving. This makes them entirely financially dependent.
It's not just inconvenient, it's isolating. Makes someone susceptible to control, manipulation, even abuse.
Precisely, which is why legal protections like IMBRA, the International Marriage Broker Regulation Act, passed in 2005, were so important. But even with those,
People are still afraid to report abuse.
yes,
Yeah.
especially immigrant women. They're often terrified that if they report their American husband for abuse, they'll be the one deported. The fear can be paralyzing, despite legal protections existing on paper.
We also see some really extreme age gaps on the show sometimes.
Those definitely raise serious ethical questions about agency and potential exploitation.
Thinking of couples like Nikki, who was 19, and Mark, who was 58, or Jonathan, 32, and Fernanda, 19, who he met when she was just 17.
Right. When you combine those significant age gaps with the K-1 conditions, unable to work, financially dependent, isolated, and sometimes prenuptial agreements thrown in.
It can create situations that some critics have described as almost exploitative, where the younger person has very little real agency.
The concern is that an older, more established, financially secure partner could potentially take advantage of someone younger from a different country who is in that vulnerable position, victimizing them within the structure of the visa process itself.
Okay, last point in this segment. Background checks, or maybe the lack thereof.
Yeah, this one's a bit of a head-scratcher. TLC claims they perform background checks on contestants. You'd certainly hope so, given the stakes.
But
But somehow they seem to consistently miss prior criminal charges or significant legal issues that then inevitably surface later, often after the show airs.
which raises questions. Are the checks not thorough, or are they prioritizing drama over maybe safety?
It's hard not to be cynical sometimes.
Yeah.
You see notable cast members with previously undisclosed records pop up. Angela Deem had a DUI. Jorge Nava had serious charges for drug possession, theft, forgery, which impacted his life significantly, including prison time. Danielle Jabali admitted to fraud charges.
So these things come out later, and viewers are left wondering what kind of vetting actually happens. How much does TLC know, or maybe choose to overlook for reality TV gold?
It definitely adds another layer of complexity to watching the show.
Okay, so given all this, the drama, the potential exploitation, the power imbalances, financial stress, intense scrutiny, you might expect the success rate of these 90-day fiancé marriages to be, well, pretty bad.
Right. Lower than average, maybe?
But here's where it gets genuinely surprising. Against all odds, the show actually boasts a remarkably impressive percentage of lasting marriages.
It's kind of nuts, isn't it? Reportedly, 25 out of the 32 couples from the first 6 seasons of the original show are still together.
25 out of 32. That's over 78%.
Yep. It really challenges that common perception that it's all fake or doomed to fail. Maybe the intensity of it all, the public scrutiny, the high stakes,
Yeah.
maybe it somehow forges a stronger bond.
Or maybe the couples willing to go on a show like this already have a different level of commitment. They know what they're getting into, maybe.
That's possible, too. Whatever the reason, the numbers are striking.
Especially when you compare it to other reality dating shows. The Bachelorette, only 6 out of 15 couples lasted. The Bachelor, a shocking 2 out of 23.
Yeah, those shows designed specifically to create marriages have terrible track records compared to 90 Day.
Executive producer Matt Sharp even boasted their divorce rate is less than 10% compared to the U.S. national rate of over 40%.
It's really quite something. And maybe the most remarkable stat. Season 1.
What about season 1?
All 4 couples who appeared on the very first season are still reportedly together. And all have kids now.
All 4 from season 1, still together.
Yep. That really pushes back against the idea that it's all just for a green card or for the cameras. Suggests there's often a genuine foundation under all the spectacle.
That's incredible. And this success, combined with the drama, has obviously spawned a massive spin-off empire.
Oh, it's a universe now. Not just one show. It's a whole franchise, a juggernaut.
There are like, what, 5 separate spin-off series now? Happily Ever After, Before the 90 Days, What Now? The Other Way?
The Family Chantel, which is dedicated just to one specific, very dramatic couple and their families. It's huge.
And this has led to the rise of career reality stars.
Yeah, you could call them that. People who were on other reality shows before 90 Day Fiancé.
Like Molly Hopkins from Double Divas.
Yeah. Or Darcy Silva, who was on Millionaire Matchmaker way back. And then there's Patrick Cornett, who's apparently been on something like 6 different reality shows.
Wow, so some people are just drawn to this world.
Seems like it. And many cast members, whether they stay married or not, leverage that D-list fame afterwards.
For sponsorships, right. Social media deals.
Big time. Promoting everything from detox teas to fashion. Or doing personalized videos on Cameo, like David and Annie famously do.
Yeah.
Their personal lives become their brand, their business.
Okay, let's connect this all to the bigger picture. The K-1 visa, this whole intersection of love and immigration law. It has a long history in the U.S., doesn't it? Much longer than the show.
Oh, absolutely. A long and winding history with more twists and turns than people realize. It's not a new concept at all. It's evolved over centuries.
Where does it even start?
Well, one of the earliest U.S. immigration laws ever passed was related to this, the Page Act of 1875.
What did that do?
It restricted Asian laborers, supposedly migrating for immoral purposes. But it was primarily enforced against Chinese women, based on this racist, xenophobic assumption that they were all migrating to be sex workers.
Wow. So right from the start, gender and race were tied into marriage-related immigration fears.
Deeply intertwined, it even led to mandatory, often humiliating medical exams specifically for women migrating from Asia.
Okay, fast forward a bit. War brides.
Yes, a totally different context. During and after major wars like World War II, American soldiers overseas met and fell in love with foreign women. They wanted to bring them home.
So they needed a way to do that.
Exactly. This led to the War Brides Act from 1945 to 1948. It was unique because it allowed around 300,000 women, mostly from Europe and Asia, to come to the U.S., largely bypassing the really restrictive immigration quotas that were in place at the time. It recognized this new reality for servicemen.
And the K-1 visa, the one the show is based on, when did that specific process come about?
The K-1 process, as we generally know it today, with the 90-day marriage requirement, was finalized in 1970, largely in response to relationships formed during the Vietnam War.
Oh, okay, so post-Vietnam. And it was meant to be simpler.
Relatively clear, simple, and quick, yeah. A path to permanent residency for fiancés of U.S. citizens, streamlining what had been more complicated before.
But that ease led to problems, or perceived problems.
It led to panics about marriage fraud in the 1980s, fueled heavily by sensational media stories about marriage ring frauds, people allegedly paying for sham marriages just to get green cards.
So Congress reacted.
They did. In 1986, a new immigration law made green cards obtained through marriage conditional for the first 2 years. Meaning you didn't get a permanent 10-year green card right away, you get a temporary 2-year one. And near the end of those 2 years, you had to file another petition and off to do another interview to prove the marriage was still real, to get the conditions removed and receive the permanent one. It added another hurdle to deter fraud.
Okay. And then came another big change in the 90s, the financial responsibility part.
Yes, the most significant shift, especially impacting the American sponsor, came in 1996. President Clinton signed a law making American citizens legally financially responsible for their immigrant spouse for potentially 10 years, even if they divorced.
That's the affidavit of support we talked about earlier.
That's the one. If the immigrant used certain public benefits, the sponsor had to pay the government back. This was seen as a very strong measure to discourage sham marriages. And it certainly led to more skepticism, maybe reluctance, among Americans considering sponsoring a foreign partner.
You have to wonder if making the stakes that high financially creates its own set of problems, more tension, maybe even potential for abuse within the relationship.
That's a really valid concern. It puts immense pressure on the relationship, especially the sponsor. And then further legislation came after some truly tragic cases.
Like Anastasia King.
Yes, the case of Anastasia King, a 19-year-old from Kyrgyzstan who came on a K-1 visa and was tragically murdered by her American husband. That horrific event, among others, spurred Congress to pass MBRA, the International Marriage Broker Regulation Act, in 2005.
And MBRA aimed to protect immigrants.
Primarily, yes. It requires American men using international marriage brokers to disclose any criminal history to the foreign applicant. And it mandates that immigrant fiancés and spouses be informed about their rights, including protections against domestic violence in the U.S.
But as we discussed, even with MBRA, vulnerabilities remain. That fear of deportation can still silence victims.
Sadly, yes. Legal protections on paper don't always translate to safety in reality when someone feels trapped and isolated.
It's fascinating to compare the U.S. system, with its intense focus on love and fraud detection, to how other countries handle partner immigration.
Yeah, looking at other systems really highlights the choices the U.S. has made. Canada, for example, operates quite differently. Canada often uses a point system for immigrants, including some partner categories, based on more objective criteria. The sponsor's ability to provide support, yes, but also the immigrant skills, education, language ability, financial resources.
Less focus on proving love through inclusive interviews.
Generally, yes. And importantly, in Canada, couples can often apply for permanent residency after just cohabiting for 1 year. That's called common law sponsorship.
1 year of living together.
Right. And crucially, during that period, the foreign partner can often obtain a work permit.
That's a huge difference from the K-1, where they often can't work for months after arriving.
Exactly. Allowing the partner to work addresses that major vulnerability, that total financial dependency we see in the U.S. system. It arguably offers a more humane, more equitable pathway. It fundamentally shifts the power dynamic early on.
So, wrapping this all up, what does it all mean for us watching, for the people living it? We've taken this deep dive into 90 Day Fiancé, trying to separate the TV drama from the complex, sometimes dangerous realities of the K-1 visa and cross-cultural love.
And it's clear the show spotlights some real issues. Cultural clashes, financial stress, the visa hurdles. But it almost always distorts and exaggerates them for entertainment. It massively blurs the lines between reality and engineered drama.
It's kind of amazing, though, how reality TV can take this, nuanced, often dry, bureaucratic legal process and just transform it into compelling, exaggerated human drama that millions watch every week.
It really is powerful. And we've seen that despite all the sensationalism, the yelling matches, the cynical takes, a surprisingly high number of these televised relationships actually last. They endure beyond the cameras in the 90 days, which challenges a lot of our assumptions.
But the show constantly, relentlessly asks that question, are they here for the right reasons? And it makes us, the viewers, ask it too, which leaves us with a final, maybe provocative thought that goes way beyond just this show. What does it actually mean to have the right reasons for any relationship, especially when government policy, with all its scrutiny, gets involved?
Right. If the government's main concerns are really about financial stability, preventing dependence on public aid, societal contribution, why does the state spend so much energy scrutinizing the deeply personal, intangible, unquantifiable concept of love when deciding who gets to build a life here?
It highlights that tension, doesn't it, between our individual choices in love and partnership and the government's role in controlling borders and immigration.
Absolutely. As someone put it quite well, if you're marrying a foreign partner and you want to reside in the USA, then you've effectively made the U.S. government a party in your relationship.
Wow, that puts it starkly.
It does. It's not just about getting a visa. It becomes about state intervention in the most personal parts of life. And it really raises that profound question. Where should that intervention begin? And maybe more importantly, where should it end? Especially when it touches the very core of human connection and autonomy.